What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic mother effing day. If you're not, it's not too late, man. You can still focus on your health. You can focus on your wealth. You can focus on your freedom. You can focus on what you're grateful for. Today, we're going to be shifting the focus to what I did to change from being a skinny little runt vegan fruitarian to now having a body full of muscle. All right, someone who can no longer be considered skinny. I know a lot of people out there listening, whether you're a girl or whether you're a guy, more specifically probably if you're a guy, if you've been trying to pull on muscle for a while, you've been trying to put on size for a while, whether it's the chest or the arms or the shoulders or the traps or the abs or whatever, if you've been trying to put on muscle for a while and it's not happening for you, well, you're going to learn something from this video for sure. It doesn't matter what diet you're eating, you're going to learn something from this video. Now, personally for me, my diet hasn't changed. It hasn't needed to change. So I still eat the same foods I was eating basically 10 years ago, which is like 99% fruit. The things that have changed, I'm going to mention in this video here. We're going to talk about my diet, we're going to talk about my training, we're going to talk about my routines, and we'll talk about my supplements, all right? So first things first. When I was skinny, and I see a lot of skinny people doing this, they're eating throughout the day. So they're waking up at 6:30, at 7:30 they're having breakfast, they graze all day long, and then by like 8:30, maybe 9:30, maybe even 10:30, they're just finishing up their last meal, okay? So they're grazing. That's what I used to do. And what happens when you do that is you raise your insulin every time you eat. So your insulin's up. Doesn't matter if it's fruit, doesn't matter if it's cupcakes. When you eat food, insulin goes up. And when insulin goes up, guess what cannot get released? Something called human growth hormone. Human growth hormone is responsible for getting you huge. Human growth hormone is responsible for helping you grow as a human, physically. All right? It's also responsible for keeping you young, keeping you healthy. So when insulin is up, human growth hormone can't get released. And if you're trying to put on size, you want as much human growth hormone as you can. People synthetically inject that stuff because it works so well. But your body can release it naturally with intermittent fasting. So what I do now, as opposed to grazing, is I eat between 12 and 4 p.m. Usually 12 and 4. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes it's like 1 and 5. Today was 1 and 5. Every now and then I go over. Maybe it's instead of a 4-hour eating window, it's a 5 or 6 hour eating window. Or maybe it's an 8-hour eating window. It can fluctuate. I'm not super dogmatic about it. But what I am trying to get really, really consistent is just that 4-hour window. And again, I can go over, I can also go under too. So sometimes I'm like a 2-hour eating window. But 4 hours is plenty for me for eating fruit. If I was eating cooked food, 2 hours would be a lot easier, or maybe 1 hour would be plenty. I don't know. But a 4-hour eating window on fruit is perfect. That's like a big, big change that's happened. That's allowed me to pack on muscle easier than almost anything else. It's also allowed me to stay relatively lean. Now, I wouldn't consider myself super lean right now. I still have a good amount of excess fat on me, but you know, it's allowed me to be able to eat as much as I want in that 4-hour eating window without restricting at all, and still get by with having a good shape, a good physique. So if you're currently eating as much as you want right now, but you're grazing throughout the day, there's a good chance you're slightly overweight from all the excess calories, or you're just super skinny because you're eating fruit all day long and you're not really seeing any human growth hormone. Okay, so that's the first thing. I used to graze, and now I do intermittent fasting. The second thing is when it comes to training, training has changed drastically. People see me as the skinny triathlete, and now they used to see me as a skinny triathlete. Now they see me as someone who obviously lifts weights. And that, again, didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen by accident. I used to train 7 days a week. I used to swim, bike, and run. I used to get up to 40-hour training weeks. I got a video series on YouTube showing my 40-hour training week. I logged every single workout for that week. But that wasn't average. Average was like 20 to 30 hours a week for sure. Was training 7 days a week, swim, bike, and run. Tons of cardio. Hardly any weight training. When I did do weight training, when I did do strength training, it was like some prehab stuff. Prehab is what you do so you don't have to go to rehab. Prehab is what you do to prevent injury. So I was doing like a lot of like shoulder cables and like other shoulder exercises to protect from swimming, and then running. For running, I would do like lunges and like leg press and some core work, you know, just to stay strong as a triathlete and prevent injury, but nothing to really pack on size. I don't want size as a triathlete. I try to be as skinny as possible, but as strong as possible. The difference now is I train 3 to 4 times a week. So some weeks it's 3 days, other weeks it's 4 days. Because when you train every other day, that's just what happens. Like let's say first week, for example, Monday,
Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Okay, it's 4 days. Now we continue on, take every other day off. We train Sunday, we don't train Monday. So it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's the week. Can't train Sunday. Right? So that's
4 days the first week and 3 days the second week. It's every other day I train. So that's the massive difference. So now every other day, I'm just resting. I go for some walks. I might go for a run. I may do some pull-ups or some push-ups or something. But it's not like a training day. It's an off day. That's something to keep in mind as well. When you're training 7 days a week, your body's getting run down. I see a lot of people trying to lift weights and they're trying to lift every day as well. They're lifting like 5 days a week. I'm like, dude, if you're trying to put on size, trying to put on muscle naturally without steroids, you don't want to be training 5 days a week. Train 3 to 4 days a week max because you need time to recover as a natural. If you're taking steroids, you can work out 5, 6, 7 times a day for sure. And that's something that I'm really jealous of steroid takers for. I'm like, I want to train 7 days a week. I love training. Like, I love my workout so much that I would love to train every single day, multiple times a day. But because I'm a natural, I need time to fully recover. I remember I watched the world record holder of the biggest bicep. They interviewed him, like, how do you get the world's biggest bicep? What's your number one tip for people trying to increase their bicep size? And I remember what he said, it surprised the hell out of me. He said, you got to rest. You have to rest between your workouts. It's the resting and the recovering that makes your muscles bigger. And when you're training 7 days a week or 5 days a week, you're not giving yourself time to rest and grow. Okay? So sleep and release that human growth hormone and get in enough calories. But don't be working out every day, breaking yourself down. Exercising breaks you down. Working out breaks you down. It's the sleep and the eating and the recovery that allows you to grow bigger. All right? So that's the biggest change when it comes to my training. I went from 7 days a week to now doing 3 to 4 days a week. And that's with the frequency at least. As far as the actual, like, what did I physically do? It came down to mostly doing cardio to now mostly doing strength training. I was doing 99% cardio before to 1% strength training. Now I do like 90% strength training with 10% cardio. So I still go for some runs, still go for some sprints, still go for some swims, but no cycling and no long swims and no long runs consistently. So that's how my training has changed. When it comes to my lifting, the reason I think I built the physique I built is because I do the exact same exercises every single time. I see a lot of people go to the gym and they have a bunch of different variations on what they do. And you can do that, cool. You can vary up what you do if you want, but I think if you're just starting out and you want to see progress ASAP, this is how I did it. I'm speaking from personal experience. I don't really know, but this is what I did and it worked really, really well. I just stuck with like the same 4 exercises every single time in the gym. I didn't vary it up a whole bunch. I just kept sticking with the same 4 exercises. And you might think, Ted, that's so boring. Like, I like to do a whole bunch of different things. Or Ted, that's not safe. Like, you might get injured because you're only doing 4 things. You're not doing the holistic package. Might be the case. But for me, I haven't gotten injured because I do it properly. I do proper technique. I haven't gotten injured. And I take every other day off to recover. And I love those exercises. They're like my 4 favorite exercises. It's like when you go for runs, you love running. But you never get bored of running, even if it's the same path every time, because you just love running. You love sex, you don't get bored. Hey, honey, we're only doing the same 12 positions. We're only doing the same 6 positions. It's like, if it feels good, it feels good. And you're getting the results you want, awesome. Keep doing the same positions. Keep doing the same exercises. So you don't need to vary it up a whole bunch in the gym. You can stick to the same exercises over and over and over again. You can do some variations. Like, for example, when I say bench press, well, it's a combination of incline bench and flat bench. When I say pull-ups, okay, you can do wide pull-ups, you can do narrow pull-ups, you can do chin-ups. You can do weighted chin-ups, weighted pull-ups. So there's some variations in what you can do with each of the exercises for sure. But I mainly stick to the same exercises, and from time to time I'll mix up what I'm doing. If I usually do wide, I'll go narrow. If I usually do seated shoulder press, I'll do standing shoulder press, or I'll do military press. If I normally do incline, then I'll do flat. Like, I'll mix it up in that regard. But for the most part, I'm sticking to the same 4 exercises every single time. I'll make another video in the future about what those 4 are and what the variations are as well. But the most important lift, as far as I'm concerned, for a good upper body would be incline bench press. That's what I've been doing. I do every single workout. I incline bench every single workout. There's not a single workout I do where I don't incline bench. I love it so much. If I start with flat bench and I go through a bunch of other exercises, by the end of the workout, I'll come back to incline bench. If I start with incline bench, I'll make sure I max out incline bench, and then I'll walk away and do some other exercises. But incline bench is like my bread and butter, and I think it's responsible for creating the shape it's helped me create. And the other difference is when it comes to strength training, not only do I stick to the same 4 exercises every workout, my reps are drastically different than they used to be. So when I used to work out, when I used to lift, when I was a skinny fruitarian who couldn't put on muscle, I was doing 12 to 15 reps every time. I was resting about 1 to 2 minutes between sets. So I thought, that's a safe number, 12 to 15. And, I only need a minute or 2 to rest between because my cardio was so freaking good. I could recover like that. But now I've realized that if I want to put on strength Like I want to get stronger, which if your goal is not to get stronger, you're not going to get bigger. Like you've got to get stronger to get bigger. And I didn't know that before. So you're not going to get stronger with 12 to 15 reps. It's just, you're going to plateau really, really quickly. So what I do now is I do my first set of every exercise I do, my first set after I warmed up, my very first set, I do